as part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create the platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You know you can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in Diaspora, your voice, your opinion on our TV. Thank you for being part of the program today. And the program is Voice, coming to you from Ben Television. This is a program where we'll talk about legal issues in our community, where we'll try to inform our community about what they need to do as far as legal matters are concerned. On the show today, joining me to talk about another important topic is Jennifer Obaseki. Jennifer Obaseki is the senior partner of Obaseki Solicitors. On the show today, we'll be taking a look at what happens to you after you've been granted your paper. You either have recourse to public fund or you don't have recourse to public fund. What happens to your financial and economic life? How do you explore the opportunities given to you in the UK with or without recourse to public fund, and how long do you need to make use of that of that opportunity before you are putting your application for a renewal, if you do have to renew? What specific amount do you need to have? How do you manage your papers very well to be sure that you do not fall far of the laws that could deny you of having your papers renewed for you when you do need to renew that paper? And that's what we'll be taking a look at on the show today, your papers and your economic life. Joining me will be Jennifer Obaseki, senior partner Obaseki Solicitors. Jennifer, thank you for being part of the program today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The first stage of people regularizing themselves in the United Kingdom is having their papers given to them. But that doesn't seem to be the end of the show, especially for those that will require to renew their paper maybe after 2.5 years. Again, it probably starts from their economic life after their first paper. Tell us, what is it like? What should people do when they are granted their papers? Let's start with people with recourse to public fund.
Okay, so once you've been granted leave to remain, if you've been granted indefinite leave to remain, then you have no issue. And after you've spent a settled period of having, depending on the route in which you've got your indefinite leave to remain, it may either be 12 months or 3 years or 5 years, depending on how you obtained it, you will then be able to apply for naturalization. You should always be looking at the maximum and best status that you can get. So even if you have indefinite leave to remain, find out the earliest period you can apply for naturalization, which is your British citizenship. The things to be aware of if you're applying for that is, did you spend any period when you were undocumented working? And if you did, you may not be considered a person of good character. So you have to then start thinking of the evidence you put forward in support of that application for naturalization as to why and how you maintained yourself when you were undocumented. Number two, you have to think about what your entitlements are now that you've got your indefinite leave to remain. When you have your indefinite leave to remain, it means you have no restrictions on your work, no restrictions on your entitlement to benefits. However, you've also got to look at other things. So people who fall critically ill, sometimes they may not have made enough contributions at that stage so that if they do fall ill, they can't get the maximum types of disability benefits. So if you are able, once you have actually got your indefinite leave to remain, to secure your own self, you might want to start thinking about getting life or health cover policies so that if you do become seriously ill and you are deemed as not having made sufficient contributions to the state, you have another policy that can cover you should you become seriously or critically ill. Then moving on from that, if you're a person that has no interest in any of the state's benefits, again, you have to then look at what type of job you're going to get. One of the things that we often do is we don't look at our past and our key skills. So one of the things you should do is look at your CV, look at all the positive experiences, obviously, that you've had, get some advice on how to draft it so that you are putting forward the best profile you can about yourself. Employers do look at gaps on the CV. So if, again, you have those gaps, look at what positive volunteering you may have been doing when you were not documented, so that it doesn't look like, oh, for the last 3 years, this person's done nothing. But many employers are understanding as well. They should and do understand that you should not be working when you are undocumented. And if you can explain clearly during interview that you had a period where you had no entitlement to work, they will usually understand that. But now looking at people who have no recourse to public funds. This normally is a position that's given to people who have limited or discretionary leave to remain. Number one, once you've got that leave to remain, if you think that it's too harsh to put you in a position of no recourse to public funds, then you should apply for it to be removed. You can apply for the change of conditions form, and it's something that you can get on the .gov website. Establishing whether a person should receive no recourse to public funds or should receive recourse to public funds, you have to look at the reason why the person was granted. So if the reason the person was granted was because they're in an exceptionally harsh situation, then you can write back to the Home Office and say, please review this decision. We made you aware we were in an exceptionally harsh situation. You adding no recourse to public funds only compounds our situation. And equally, if you feel that it's going to affect other members of your family, you need to write back and explain while during the decision-making process certain elements should have been looked at. It's too late at that stage to send fresh evidence. You may send up-to-date material, i.e. if your situation has worsened since making the application, so they make the decision and they've not taken into consideration the most up-to-date position, then yes, it's fair in that situation to send some information. But first of all, if you've been granted and there's no recourse to public funds, be aware that you should try and challenge it right there at the get-go. If you made it clear during your application that there is extremely exceptional circumstances, children may be at harm or at risk, they should, and outline to the Home Office that they should have looked at it. The other thing is, again, if you are in a position where you're going to be affected by homelessness, or you're in a position where you can demonstrate that you have no ability at all to meet your needs, you can then equally apply, because the change of conditions form asks for evidence. So quite a majority of people are supported by social services and have children. So if you can show that, look, you're going to be asked to leave supported accommodation now that you've got your leave to remain, it means you're going to be put in a position of homelessness. Mm-hmm. Again, you can write back and say, look, now we've got our leave to remain, we've been asked to get accommodation, I have no savings, no means, therefore I'll be made homeless, children will be at risk of harm, please change the conditions. Now, funny enough, many local authorities even write to our firm direct to make that representation on behalf of people, because ultimately, if you're not helped or they don't remove the condition, it means you're going to go back where? Back to social services for help. So it's important, as I say, if you've got the leave to remain and you feel it's not correct, or you know that it's going to put you in a position of harm, that you apply for it to be changed. The other thing is, if it's not changed, i.e. you have a job, you have a house, or you have accommodation, then you have to realise that you have to make the best of your situation. That means maximising your profile on your CV, going out getting the best job that you can get. But again, many people do that with the best intention, but later find themselves in a situation where they're facing homelessness or at the risk of homelessness. So if that's your situation and for the first year you're okay, and going into the second year, you find you're struggling, you can still apply at that stage where you are homeless or facing homelessness for the change of conditions to take effect. So it may not be immediately get your leave to remain, but it may be afterwards that you apply. And I must say that one of the things that people don't bear in mind when they have the limited leave to remain is the fact that they're going to have to apply for an extension. Now that the costs are so high, it's important from day one that you start to save towards the cost of your extension or your renewal. It's, you know, when you think about just a few people, for example, that are going from renewal of discretionary leave to remain to, let's say they're indefinite. One person plus a child is over £3,000 for that application in home office fees alone. It's very serious amounts of money. So it's important that at the time you get your leave to remain, you have that foresight to say, okay, in 2.5 years' time, I'm going to have to commit more than £3,000 for myself and this child to renew. How much do I have to save each month? How do I separate that from my rent and my living costs and start to put money aside towards that expense? And when do I make the application? Many people don't foresee how much they have to pay, but don't think about the actual time they have to make the application. We say to people, start making preparations at least 3 months before your papers are due to expire. Making preparations. The Home Office does not look at applications that are made more than 28 days before they're due to expire. Do you know why that is? Because if everybody was to send in their applications earlier, it means they'll have piles and piles and piles. So as a general rule, the Home Office does not look at applications that are being made for people that their leave to remain is not due to expire within 28 days. So if you send it in too early, it's not going to be looked at. That's the point. So people are making that mistake now as well, that, okay, I'm due to have my leave to remain renewed in May, but I want to do it now because my job. Many people, again, under pressure from their employers because they've not made their plans on making their application at the right time. If you know your application is due to expire in 3 months' time, you start early enough so that you can put in the application in good time so that you can get the acknowledgement letter to show your employer before they start asking you. Many employers are being very impatient. So they'll be aware that the staff member has made the application for the extension. They may get a letter from the lawyers confirming that they've made an application, but because they've gone to the Home Office website and they've got the guidance that tells them that unless the person can show you, it's difficult. So we like to say to employers, look, this person's rights continue insofar as they've made a valid application. They've made it in good time before their leave expires, so it's valid. So we can give that comfort letter to employers, and any lawyer should be able to do that for you. They shouldn't be really charging you X amount of hundreds of pounds extra to do that. It should be something that you equally should ask your lawyer to do when you're going to them for the renewal. Some lawyers are charging phenomenal amounts extra for these small things that should be part and parcel of the service. But if your employer goes that step further to say, show me proof of sending, again, your lawyer should be able to show you the recorded delivery reference number so that it can be tracked and traced through Royal Mail to prove that you've put in the application at the right time. But to get the better step, which is the acknowledgement letter from the Home Office, send your application in on time.
How do you mean in on time? You said the application cannot be sent in
More
earlier than
28 days. No.
You said on time. How
If
do
you
mean,
know your leave to remain is going to expire in May, and you know that your employer on the 1st of May is going to say to you, where's the proof? Don't go to your lawyer on the 29th of July, of April, to ask for them to put in your application because your employer needs proof. Go earlier. Go at the beginning of April. Go at the beginning of April so that you know, hopefully, the Home Office will acknowledge receipt of your application.
No, go to your lawyer at the beginning of April because your application is due by May, so that by
Let's be
middle
very clear.
April, Your lawyer posting that application for you? Or
Let
what
me
are you?
explain and let me be very clear. As I've said, start at least 3 months before your leave.
Preparation.
Why? Because the form is grown. Many of you who put in your applications 3 years ago or 2 years ago, the form is bigger now. And the information that they're asking for is a lot more detailed. Not only that, but if a lawyer has 100 clients and 50 of them have come and have paid full fees, that lawyer's attention will go on the ones that have paid their money up front. The rest that are saying, Mr. or Mrs. Lawyer, I don't have enough money to pay you, they may not put you as a priority. So start months before and start saving your money even earlier. But many employers, because of the fine and because of the fear that has been bestowed on them by the Home Office, want to see the documentation from the Home Office in front of them. So it's very, very important that you start this process in time.
Okay, now for those who do for no recourse to public fund. Okay, let's start with people with recourse to public fund. Say you have your discretionary leave to remain with recourse to public fund. How much of public fund should you go for?
The fact is, you go for what you're entitled to. If you know that you, for example, have children that you need to claim child benefit for and tax credits for, then you apply for them. I don't think that there are some people that think, oh no, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to say that for the government to say I've taken any money from them. If you're entitled to it, claim it. Do not suffer yourself because you think that somebody's going to give you an extra gold star or an extra tick because you did not claim any benefits. That doesn't happen. There's no credit that's going to be given to you if you did not take benefits that you're entitled to. Not only that, but you're actually going to put yourself in an adverse position. You're going to adversely affect yourself if you're not getting the full entitlement that the state thinks that you should have. So it's very important that you do make sure that you have a look. If you're not sure, you can go to the Citizens Advice Bureau. There are lots and lots of help. There is lots and lots of help in schools, in children's centres that can help you outline what you're entitled to. Again, if you're disabled and you feel that you're entitled to disability support, whether it's disability living allowance or should have an assessment to see what you're entitled to, then again, make sure that you have supporting evidence from your GP to make sure that happens. I know many people that when they're not documented, don't even go to the GP when they're ill. Again, when we've seen the headings in some of the newspapers outlining that you have to show your passport before you receive maternity or show your passport before you go to A&E, very, very important that you seek the medical help that you need and do not put your health at risk when you're ill. So when you do get your papers, if it's a case of I've not been telling my GP about this pain in my back or this knee that's been hurting me, etc. Too many cases that I've seen where people have had serious underlying illnesses but have been too afraid to go and explain those illnesses because they've not had documents. So once you've got documents, again, try your best to make sure that you have a proper review of your financial, personal and let's say your health as well, because hiding underlying issues only means that they're left to bubble up and explode later.
Either you've got recourse to public fund or no recourse to public fund. Does making contributions to NI play any role or paying tax?
No, your obligations to HMRC remain the same. And, you know, it's calculated on your income, not your status.
With reference to wanting to make application to renew the paper, say
yes.
Subsequently, if the person is not paying NI or the person is not paying tax, will they have any impact on...
As I explained, the form has changed substantially. And one of the things that they do look at is your obligations towards the state. Not just the state's obligations towards you, but your obligations towards the state. So when you look at the new forms for leave to remain, some of the questions do outline what specific benefits you're getting. And if you are self-employed, again, more details about how, let's say, companies, returns and prove on paper that the individuals had been trading and also paying their tax, had not done it. So what do? If you've been working, thinking that your accountant has filed your tax returns, and then at the end of the day, you were supposed to pay a level of tax, but because they'd wrongly advised you, you didn't pay it. Then when you go for your indefinite leave to remain, the Home Office says you didn't pay your tax returns during this year and that year, and yet you've paid a professional to do these things. What happens then? What happens then is, number one, you should sue the accountant for professional negligence. Number two,
advice. Do you need professional help at a reasonable cost? At Obaseki Solicitors, we have experts in property law, human rights, criminal litigation, immigration, civil litigation, family law, business law, landlord and tenant law, employment law, Sharia law. At Obaseki Solicitors, we can provide you with advice and assistance at all levels. We have over 100 years experience in serving our local communities, and we have a new maritime and international law department. We can help you. Book a free consultation today. Obaseki Solicitors, providing you with advice and assistance at all levels.
You write to the Home Office to outline, if you can prove that you were paying that professional to actually give you the advice, that they should actually review your case and make good what your obligation is with HMRC, so that you can then show that the error was not your fault, that it was another professional who you'd paid to do their proper job that has caused you to be in the position, or caused you to be foul of the immigration rules. But do not make that mistake. If you have no recourse to public funds, recourse to public funds, your obligations to the state remain in place. And if you have discretionary leave to remain, I would say that your obligations to the state are even more profound, because the state is going to look at whether you have CCJs when you're going for your next renewal. They're going to look at your contributions in tax and NI. They're going to look at your character in a lot more scrutiny to see whether you should have your extension of leave to remain. They're going to look at your personal circumstances to see whether you still have those personal family relationships you may have said you had to have your case considered under human rights. Now that Britain has elected to leave the EU, again, if your case was based solely on human rights or solely on family relationships, you have to make good your personal circumstances within the UK and show that you're rooted. So showing that you are meeting your obligations to the state is going to be such a priority for those who have discretionary leave to remain going forward.
Okay, all right. We've been talking about what are your financial and economic responsibilities after having been given your papers to remain in the United Kingdom, either with recourse to public fund or without recourse to public funds, and you've just been told that it is important that your responsibilities to the state is crucial. Your NI payment, your tax payment, if you are self-employed, and if you're working for somebody, if you're in full paid job, ensure that your tax is collected as expected, and there is evidence in your pay slip that your tax is being paid and your NI also being paid. If you're entitled to the cost of public fund, Jennifer did say that you can get
claim your entitlements if you need them. Of course, if you need housing benefit, claim it. If you don't need housing benefit, don't claim it. And if you're entitled to it,
some feel like, look, because you've got the cost of public fund, some feel, and they feel like, look, I don't want to touch their benefits at all, because if I want to go back there,
and renew,
or some are like, look, I've got the cost of public, they just claim everything, housing benefit, child benefits, tax credit, every claimable benefit.
If you need to, do so. If you don't need to, don't do so. It's very simple. The benefits are there to support families whose income means that they need the additional support. And if you as a mum or as a dad need to take time to look after your children, need to take time to make sure their welfare is in check, or you have health concerns, then if there's a system in place that is there to support you, take the support. If you don't take the support and you now adversely affect your health or you're not there for your children, then you can't blame anybody but yourself.
Fantastic.
It's there to help maintain family structures. It's there to help support you. Nobody is going to give you a gold star for not taking your entitlement.
Okay, all right. If you do need more information, you need some advice, you can get in touch with your solicitor or get in touch with Jennifer Obaseki on the number you see on your screen, or better still, you can get to the Citizens Advice Bureau for more advice on how to manage your finances and also improve your economic life. This after we can go on the program today. It's been a very nice time talking about your papers and your finances. Again, remember, if you need to renew your paper, do it, on time, very well on time. But again, your papers cannot be filed in earlier than 28 days. But every basic information documentation should be with your solicitor. Qualified solicitor, not the understream solicitor. Qualified solicitors, at least 3 months you save in getting so that basic documentation and everything is done for you. Don't waste your time and don't waste your money. Get the best solicitor you can get, because the money you're paying the Home Office is really huge. You can't afford to lose that.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Jennifer, thank you for coming on the show today.
Much.
My name is Tunde Alabi. I see you on the other side. Enjoy the rest of your day. As part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create a platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely green community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You know you can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in Diaspora, your voice, your opinion on our TV.